Ooh, was that a mate? Stupid. Uh, Hi. I just I put out a couple of videos reading like, you know, published studies and shit, and um, it makes me think like I don't know why I think this way, but it makes me feel like uh, the many new viewers that have seen those videos for some reason like don't go look at the other videos, which is usually actually that's really true. So, every once in a while it makes me want to like talk about metaphysical shit because the last two videos were talking about objectively not metaphysical stuff, like very, very material, very real shit, and the possible applications for, and the real applications, like the ones that are admitted to in the papers and studies. But like, all of that's the reason I started studying all this shit and doing experiments and all this other stuff was metaphysical reasons. I think I've changed a lot in a sense where like I've kind of realized that most of this shit is busy work. And I know that that's going to make a lot of people upset. I really do this thing where the main shit I want to talk about is stuff that makes people not want to watch my videos. Unless you're like strong willed, and not in denial. Which that sounds very like exclusionary and braggadocious, but it's not. I'm being, as real as I can be. The beings that tend to like start watching a video and stop, or like comment negative shit, it's very obviously like not capable of processing the information or even like considering it, or like very much capable of hearing what's being said, but like immediately being freaked out by it or scared of it, which I get. I definitely get that. But what I don't understand is the concept of like, now I need to attack it, you know? Um, there was a dude that like, that very quickly after seeing the first video went to like a moderator's like subreddit and was like inferring on how to like, he was like, why are these people allowed to make to make content, and then like why is it allowed to be put up? And it was very weird, and I was like, what the fuck is your problem? Obviously you're not dealing with some of these things, which is, obviously fine, but what's your reason in keeping the other people who are experiencing or dealing with some of these things, or just want to know about them because, they have a more open mind? What's your problem with them doing that? And then I found out what a glowy is. A glowy is like basically an agent. And if, people think that you're being paranoid when you call people agents, and some people are being paranoid when they say that, but many aren't. If you think about the hiring practices and who gets hired into some of these intelligence agencies, you think all of them are spies? You know what I mean? Like, I think some people do actually think that. I think some people think that every single, intelligence agent or intelligence agency worker is actually like an MK Ultra spy or 007 or Octopussy or some shit. And that's just not true. As a matter of fact, I think more times than not, they're just some sort of analyst. An analyst is a very, very broad term, or operative. That's also a very broad term. They can be given very bland, not exciting shit to do. They can be given the task of making someone paranoid, like just moving in across the street and, staring at a house from the window for 2 months. Very, very opaque, in some instances overt, other instances very, very like concave type shit. And then to take that a step further, like what a glowy is, it's basically an online analyst. Like their job is to go into certain arenas and certain subreddits on certain videos, and to everything from discredit the person just by creating a weird view count, watch time ratio, which does affect that person. It affects that creator's algorithmic support and other shit also. But also, they might leave weird comments or attack the person personally in comments, or like this person did go to like there. It seemed like they were trying to bring attention to not only my videos but like the subreddit that I had put some of the videos in to get it shut down, which I found to be interesting, and I pointed out immediately. So like, if you just if you know how to respond to some of the shit that they do and say, it kind of like takes away their capability. And then it becomes a situation where no matter what you do as the analyst, you are indirectly or directly like confirming what the person's saying, which I've gotten fairly good at. You know what I mean? That's why I say this is dangerous, because I think the better I get at this, the more frustration there's going to be on that end. And, what does frustration do? You know what I mean? Frustration takes away rational thought and promotes violence, not to say that I want that, but I'm not scared of it. And what I keep saying to myself is like, you are pussed out. You are put, like, you won't actually face any of these people, including myself, like face to face. You won't, like, you know what I mean? And I know that sounds juvenile, but it's really not. It's more based in integrity and honor. Like, if you have a problem with me or something that I'm saying, it's very likely due to some shit that you're doing and don't want me to know about, but I know about. Or don't want me to talk about, but I'm talking about it. Or don't want me to acknowledge or notice, but I'm doing both of those things. Like, these are all you things, but you're too, pussed out to actually, like, everything that you will do is from afar. Everything you will do is, misdirection or utilizing someone else who either doesn't know or does know. And, that adds an extra level of like, hopeful paranoia. Like, you're hoping that it's going to make the person freak out or something like that. And I'm sure that there are many that do. In fact, I've been pulling back off of the metaphysical videos and community, because, like, dude, I try to exercise a healthy level of, or a healthy balance of skepticism and open mind, But what I've been noticing increasing is echo chambers. So there's only so much metaphysical shit that you can really, like, avenues you can go down before you just start to get to nonsense where people are just, channeling whatever, just saying whatever the fuck they feel like saying. And unfortunately, those are the things that are doing well. It's not going to make me change my trajectory or the way that I do my videos or the stuff that I talk about. But, like, that is what's doing better. If you go look at people that are actually trying to, like, present, information, documented, verifiable, articles, medical studies, medical journals, articles, declassified by the government, like all types of shit like that. You'll have the higher up ones like Y-Files and I don't know if Mr. Mythos still does shit, but, like, there's a few of them that do very, very well. But most of it is, like, very, very subjective and almost, in my opinion, just my opinion, very unhinged shit. And it's not to say that none of it is possible or none of it is true. I just don't understand the number of people that are, and you know, I try to remember that there are many bots, and the dead internet theory is not a theory. You know, the only thing that is theory is how much of it is like simulated, because dead internet theory is basically saying like the internet that you interact with is not the internet. Like it's not genuine, right? You have specific algorithms. People don't think about these things either. You have specific algorithms. You have you know, bots, like actual bot programs. Then you have like I talked about earlier, analysts whose only job it is to like kind of fuck with people on the internet, which kind of, if you're a piece of shit, that kind of sounds like a cushy ass job, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I didn't have any integrity or scruples, I could see why someone would want to do that. But again, that makes you a piece of shit. You know, it makes you you could do things or affect someone's life in a way that could do real damage. And you know, it's not to say that they don't know that, they just don't give a fuck, which is very weird. But the level to which you see a lot of like kind of metaphysical like LARPing is intense. It's really intense, and I used to have this theory about you know, mass hysteria and the game of telephone theory and concept, that those things were very localized and that they wouldn't work large scale. But like, and I still think that is true, but it becomes less true or not true with, you know, with outside stimuli, especially, you know, stimuli that comes from someone or something with a lot of resources. If you know, have the capability to create narratives on the internet, or hush or quiet narratives on the internet, or allow some people's stories to be seen and other people's stories to be subdued or subverted, like, that's fucking power right now, you know? Especially like, there's this kind of symmetrical thing that's happening where, you know, the thing that happened in 2020 was, in my opinion, like a test run to see how much you can make people stay inside. And when people stay inside, they're not really like communicating with each other, right? So they end up kind of like relying on the internet for news, relying on the internet for interaction, for you know, for everything basically. Economical structure, basic needs, everything we saw, you know, kind of mutate into internet ready. And I mean, a couple of my last videos, even the body, even the human body has been, that was a part of that, I believe. The Internet of Things, IoT, software movement and hardware movement also includes biological technologies, you know? That's why I made those last two videos, because when I talk about that shit, I very regularly get comments back like, oh, you are nuts, or you're just making shit up. And it's like, no, I can do whole videos just kind of rattling, you know, bunches and bunches of studies off that kind of show where I get that information from and why I'm so confident when I talk about it. But the metaphysical shit is almost, it's arguably worse and like just as dangerous, because everyone is so tired and, you know, in need of change and longing for like, you know, better conditions and a better existence, and, you know, feeling like they, you know, chose the wrong one, or feeling like their life was snuffed out before they had a chance to like, you know, do a thing or whatever. Everyone is basically like not as content as they would like to be, for the most part. Even those that you would look at and say, oh man, I wish I was doing as well as they're doing. Many of them would say like, yeah, I have lots of money, but no one actually likes me, or no one actually like, you know what I mean? Like it's the grass is always greener type concept, where there's this very subtle but intelligent social engineering that creates the constant and consistent, not constant, but consistent, like, I wish I had this though, you know, or this level of of the caste system has it way better than I do type mentalities and psychology, and it's very effective. And no matter what I talk about, I call them dumb all the time. And I say them, whoever them is, the same them and they that everyone else talks about. But they are dumb, but at the same time, it's such a large network. And just off of the law of probability and strength in numbers, they're going to be able to do some pretty intelligent shit. Just one aspect of this, polymegalith, this multifaceted group of shitty controllers. They have enough numbers to be able to do some very, very intelligent stuff. And social engineering is definitely one of those things. It's a very high dollar system. It makes a lot of money, and just on the surface level, the aesthetics of it, like studying people's psychology in the avenues of what do people spend their money on, what do people focus on, what do people want to hear about. These are all things that companies pay for. And that's just surface level. Beyond that, it's like, it's arguably one of the most important things that they can spend money on, because it then affects everything else. It affects everything else. And on top of that, not many actually pay attention to it. Sleight of hand is very, very prevalent and useful for those, douchers. I call it busy work, and most of what I see that is actually making headway or making money or is algorithmically supported and pushed is busy work. It's stuff that, there isn't necessarily, you're not going to find a right answer or a correct and an incorrect. You're just going to find arguments. You're going to find a bunch of assertions that don't really have a lot of foundational, like, evidence or evidentiary backing. It's usually polarizing and dualistic. Like, there's, it's binary. There's this side to it, and then there's this side to it. And generally speaking, even if one side seems to be more right than the other side, like, politically speaking, there's been a dynamic shift where, I think the popular perspective, I don't like getting into politics, but just as an example, the popular perspective is, the liberal shit's getting out of control, and there's lots of weird shit about it, lots of weird, abusive, crazy aspects of it. Meanwhile, this other side, the white hat, get the kids out of cages, protect the children side, is coming out looking like the white knight, the shining knight. But everyone forgets that they're two sides of the same coin. They fucking hang out. They go golf together. They fucking go to the same clubs. They're related, physically, blood related to each other. Like, these people don't hate each other, dude. You think that these people hate each other just because they might put hands on each other. They'll put hands on each other just like any other family will. But that doesn't mean they hate each other. They're the same. They're from the same shit. You know what I mean? And that illusory separation really, really affects society more than it affects them. It's like a play, give them bread and circuses and they'll remain, clueless, is essentially the thought of that, of that expression, and even now, that concept is not absolute. It can be skewed and used in different ways. If you give less bread, then they start to fight over the bread and pay more attention to the circuses. If you skew the circuses, then they start to fight over the circuses and which circus is better than the other and which one is more important to pay attention to. Like, I'm just sitting back watching all this shit and people arguing over these things, or people people making very concerted efforts to keep certain shit from being talked about. And it's not to say that none of it is important, because much of it feels very important even to me. But all in all, the reason why many times I've said none of this is real, all this shit is fake to me and none of it is real, is because I think that I have a theory that is the case, just true. And it's, based in physics, it's based in experience, it's based in philosophy, it's based in a lot of shit. But I'm not the only one that has said theory. There are many that have this theory. It just, from my perspective, it seems like not many adhere to it as much. Or in the same way, not even necessarily as much. They may say, none of this matters, all of this is fake, but then they're very just really into politics, and they need for you to vote for this side versus this side. Whereas I don't give a fuck about any of that. I don't care about voting. I don't think it's important. I don't think it does really anything. It just, you're participating in a thing so that you can feel attached to it, and regardless to which side you pick, you're voting for the same team. It's doing a decent job at making those things seem different, but a lot of what we see maybe not even real, and I think that that's been crafted very, very carefully and very, very slowly, over time. You just have to be able to look at these different aspects and put them together, You have newspaper first, and then you have the creation of radio, and then you have the test run of what was that? The War of the Worlds narrative that was tested out, and then that kind of solidifies. Oh, people will believe what we say even if they don't see it for themselves, and then you see, the news kind of waning back and forth between sensationalist entertainment news and just, hard-hitting facts news. And then you see the legalization of entertainment-based news. It is no longer necessary or required for the news to be real. That was put through legislation. That is law. It doesn't have to be real at all. It's entertainment. That's the law. It's been the law for a significant amount of time. I'm not sure. I feel like that was, I'm not going to say who that was because that's definitely going to cause shit. But a very recent diversity hire, that was one of his things when he was in office. Fuck. So the news doesn't have to be real, and that covers many things. It doesn't just have to cover the news stations that you remember from channels, or cable, but also the shit on here. Anyone that considers themselves to be a part of the press, whether it be entertainment press or political press or general, they're all protected by this. They can say whatever the fuck they want. It's just they have to balance that with, will they discover that we just made this up, or that we skewed the narrative to fit our own agenda or means. it's again, depending on how much attention they have, or how much pull they have. They may have people that's their whole job, is to make sure that it's just teetering the line between something that can be found out to be not true and something that is just so believable that people won't even question it. It's all of this shit's very it's discouraging, and if you're not careful, can lead to a very like bleak outlook, depending on your disposition. And it's something that I have to remind myself pretty regularly. But I just I don't know if it's because of how much I love comedy, or it's not that, though. I've always kind of been like not a happy-go-lucky person, but no matter what happens, I'm still like cracking jokes and laughing, and even in situations where I'm uncomfortable or unhappy, like I laugh, even just as a nervous like kind of tick. I don't know what that's about actually, but it does. It's not just a physical thing. Like, I have had to create or kind of grow the capability to not detach, but like not let anything really get at the core of me. And I think that would benefit many, because like like I said, some of the metaphysical videos and stuff that I've been coming across, where people are like, kind of worshiping some of these influencers, or paying lots and lots of money for them to like channel messages for them, and just all of these things. It's not to say that I can tell you whether or not to believe in that, but like, they're taking advantage of something you can do for yourself. Like, a channeled message is just giving you something that you want to hear from outside of you, which is sad. That makes me sad that anyone, including myself in the past, needed that, or needs that. Just, and it's something that can't just be gotten rid of. I'm not trying to say like, oh, well, just snap out of it, cut that out. It's more so that the beings that are using that suck and should be ashamed of them, because you could just as well say to these people, like, you don't need me. You don't need me to tell you that. You don't need whatever spirit I'm gonna say that I'm channeling to tell you that. You just need to know this for yourself. And there are people that have very, very invaluable like perspectives and things to say and philosophies, and they have studied so much that they can hear a situation and they can think of some anecdotal shit and be like, oh, well, this information may be helpful to you, or Jung said this, or Nietzsche said this, or whatever, whoever. There's many. Eve Lorgan was talking about this with narcissistic entanglements and love bites, and there's all these things that could just be referenced instead of what I see lots of people doing is they soak up a lot of information and then they create this like this almost kind of like persona where they'll channel shit, or they may, I won't say, remote viewing is a different thing. That shit, if you find a real remote viewer, I'm not talking shit about them at all, because that shit seems real to me. But the channeling and the beings that have just studied a lot and profess to be gurus, and sometimes say that they got this information from someone or something, there's lots of indecency and lack of integrity, and just kind of shitty opportunism, like taking advantage of people and using your knowledge rather than using it for good, and being like honest and open about it, kind of remixing it to sound like it's your, you're being divinely like given this shit, and you didn't go study it. It's just being given to you, and that somehow makes you, superhuman, or more than a self-deified person, because that's not self-deification. That's professing to be someone else's god. Self-deification has nothing to do with being someone else's god. But that's what I see many beings attempting, or doing, really. And they may not say that, and those beings that are like throwing money at them, and worshiping them in comments, and fighting with other people about them if they happen to not agree that they're the coolest shit ever. Like, it may not be said outright, but that is what you're seeing a lot of right now. And you know I don't know what to do about it. And it's not to say anyone's looking to me, but I feel not obligated, but I would like to be able to offer some kind of help, I would like to be able to offer something, because it's like watching, I don't think there's many of us that viewpoint has not changed. That's a viewpoint that I've had for not a long time, because I haven't been making videos for a long time, but for the entirety of this, path that I've walked down of making videos, the whole time I've been saying I don't believe that there are many of us here. And by us, I mean, I have this feeling that I've talked about the whole time also, that there are beings that share something with me, and they feel like family, and I'm trying very hard to like find them, and it's not easy. People will fake like they're that. They will try to like pull you into cults. They will try to if they notice that you have light, they will try to piggyback off that light. They'll try to extinguish that light. They'll try to, pour gas on it just to, see what happens. There's all kinds of things that will kind of come out of the woodwork, when really I just want to find my siblings. And it's difficult, because I have been vulnerable in saying that need, because I want to say it's not a need, but it's many times proven itself to be indeed a need, to find these siblings that I feel has gotten me in a lot of shit. It's gotten me in a lot of shit. It's put me in a lot of bad situations, and I've had a lot of false positives throughout life. I've had a lot of false positives, and it's weird, because even recently, like, I've noticed signs of shit where, like, very subtle, like, trying to like pull you back in so that they can like ruin your entire life again. Just, and I kind of lean into it a little bit just to see what they say, or like, feed them like bad information. It's kind of weird, and I know that sounds weird, but it's something where if you don't have experience with that, then you probably won't think it's real. But there are beings that don't have your best interests at heart. There are beings who work for specific groups or whatever. These, just because you don't experience something doesn't make it not true or not real. And I try to remind myself of that, even with the channeler stuff and all that. But it's almost like discernment, where you can hear something or see something, and for at least for yourself, you can make a decision like, all right, well that's obviously fake to me. That sounds fake to me, or opportunistic or whatever. And just because someone is supposedly like related to you or has something to do with your life, that doesn't mean that they won't do bad things to or around you. That's like it's an unfortunate truth about this experience, and many use that to their benefit. They use that to kind of get a leg up, or a head start within whatever it is that they're doing to or with you. It is, like I said, it's unfortunate, but that doesn't mean that it's not true or not possible. And I think that there are so many people that, like, very understandably don't want to hear certain shit, or they don't want to think certain things are possible because it's either like a bummer, or it has some scary implications, or they just don't want to think about it because it makes it harder to go on from day to day or whatever. And again, I can understand that, but like it becomes a certain level where if you don't pay attention to these things, then they can really fuck your life up. They can really fuck your life up, or your perspective on life, or the way that you go about your day to day and the decisions that you make. And I think a lot of these, beings or people or whoever, like, they kind of rely on you to be in that sort of denial, because then it allows them to do whatever the fuck they want to do within your experience, and you're not, you're just not with it. You're so set on survival mode, or whatever mode it may be, that you are missing things that they're potentially like setting you up for, or setting up within your life, or kind of pushing you into. They're relying on that because you're paying so little attention, because you're just so tired of negative experiences, or you're tired of looking for that special person, or you're tired of going to this job day in and day out, and this person's giving you a potential out, whatever it may be. It's complex. It's a complex thing. And I'm just watching, at least internet wise, and to be honest, it's not much it's not much better off the internet. Like, once you have a different perspective on some of this shit, you just view it in a completely different way. Like, if you have kind of gone down certain paths, and you say, for the sake of just wanting some uplifting energy, you happen to go to a church. You know what I mean? Depending on what you've studied, you may be a little disgusted with with the shit that you see at a church, because like, it's very, very predatory. They're definitely kind of brainwashing a lot of the time. I'm not at all saying that no church is good, and that there's no religious speakers that have integrity or don't have ulterior motives. I'm not saying that, but most of the time it's not good. You know what I mean? It's not good. They get to passing that plate around like 2, 3, 4, 5 different times throughout a service, like, hey, please give, because we need that. And there's still very weird assertions being made, like, give to God, give your 10% to God, but that's like their money. You're giving that to them, and they're tax exempt snitches for the government. It's just very strange stuff. Very strange stuff. And I don't know. I find myself wanting to, like, help beings that don't seem to want to be helped. And I don't know how to deal with that, or like how to respond to that. And to clarify what I mean, it's not like, you going up to someone who's homeless and trying to give them food, and they're like, I don't want that food, bitch, I want some crack. It's not like that. I'm saying, like, they're so deep in some of these social engineering agendas, and like, subversion campaigns, and busy work, You know, what are the white hats doing to save us? The white hats are saving the kids in cages, and you know, Inky is going around and clearing out the tunnel type shit. Like, those beings don't want you to show them, like, okay, that sounds really cool if it were true, and I'm not saying whether it is or isn't, but like, can we agree that that's just people that you like telling you that, and that you don't really have a lot of tangible evidentiary backing for these things that are being said to you? You know, they build a relationship with you by telling you things that you like to hear, like you're powerful, you're gonna have superpower soon, and confirming things that you've been able to see yourself. There's an agenda going on. They're poisoning everything, and they're hurting people, and you know, things that are very obvious. They piggyback off those things, and then once this, like, you know, this very intimate thing is built between you and them, then they can just start saying to you whatever the fuck they want to say, you know, and you just eat that shit up because you know, you're you're going through shit. Everyone is going through shit. That's a universal thing right now. Everyone is going through shit, and everyone can kind of feel this thing that's like, something's not right about this, and it's even more not right because those that are supposed to be helping us and kind of taking care of us in a way, politicians and, you know, philanthropists and all this shit, not only are they ignoring it, but they're like selling their stuff and they're disappearing, or they're kind of doing a sleight of hand, like, look over here while I fucking take all my shit and dip this way type you know, behaviors. And they're using those things to, you know, make more money and opportunity off of these beings that just want their lives to be better. They want their lives to be better. They want their experience to be different than it is currently, and has most likely been throughout most of their life, if not all. Or even utilizing the nostalgia factor of, you know what, when I was whatever age in this decade or year, things were so much easier and better, and I just remember all this happiness. And they may utilize that like, oh well, it's gonna go back to the good old days, and everything's gonna be better. We just have to, you know, eat no meat, don't eat any meat, and we have to buy a whole bunch of crystals, which I just so happen to sell in my shop. And if you buy my webinars, you're gonna be ready for the shift, and just all this weird fucking goofy shit. And, you know, if they really wanted to help you, don't you think they would just give that shit to you? You know? And maybe, like, sure, everyone has to take care of themselves within this dynamic that we have right now. I myself ask for donations. But, like, if you notice, I say that shit once, I'm weird about it because I don't know how to feel about it, even though I am fucking Bobby Hemmett broke. You know what I mean? Like, I'm Bobby Hemmett broke. But I still feel weird about asking people for money, even though it is almost self-sabotage, because I am trying to build a company that will allow me to do more shit and have more production value and whatever the fuck else. But, like, no matter what I talk about in a video, I always am doing it from a position of, like, I want to help us. I want to find how many of us there actually are. Not fakes, not bots, not agents, you know, us. And it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. But it's, I don't know. I'm when I see the vast majority of stuff that's being put out is that weirdo, fake, like, predatory fiat currency, you know, generating type shit, it is very discouraging. Especially coupled with the fact that, you know, these apps are, you know, they're they're capitalist apps. They're publicly traded companies that their interest is in making money and doing the bidding of those that own them, which are generally governmental and intelligence based. So like, I am aware that the shit that I'm putting out is not beneficial to them to allow to reach a large audience. I'm aware of that. And the way that I view it is it's just going to be a slow go, and maybe more beings will find that I have sincere and genuine motives, and potentially see it within themselves to like support that, genuinely support that. Because at this moment, I and those that are of similar motives, we see our shit kind of fucked with. Our views get skimmed. Our watch times get kind of sabotaged by like bots and trolls and weirdos and shit like that. And that, that does keep us from being able to reach more people. And I even feel weird talking like this because it sounds like self promotion in a way. And it's not. I very much wish that sincere and genuine people were getting more of a voice versus like weird guru people that are almost preachers, like of mega church energy, you know? Yeah, like just guru mega church worship me, but I'm gonna say it's God, or I'm gonna say it's Source, or I'm gonna say it's Inky, or whatever, Satan, whatever the thing is. It's just you know, it's a bunch of gurus and and savior complexes, and yeah, it's strange. It's really really strange, and it only kind of like solidifies some things that I theorize about this existence and this place. The more that those things are apparent, the more that I kind of, not view my perspectives to necessarily be right, but definitely like on to something. There's a subverted type energy to this place where the more something is pushed, the less I believe it, or the less I want to like give credence to it. And the more hidden something is, and the more ostracized it is and attacked, the more of a chance I give it. It doesn't mean that it's true or that it's real or that it's right, because I've definitely come across some suppressed shit that's just nuts. It's just crazy people stuff. But more times than not, if it's being suppressed and subverted and pushed down, there's some aspect to it that's intentionally being like hidden, or kept from more eyeballs and ears hearing it. But I don't know, man. I just wanted to talk about some metaphysical shit, I guess. And it's I don't think that there's a correct answer. I don't. I think that there's a lot of shit where it's like you can't know. And I think that it's natural for that to be frustrating to people, but that shouldn't change your objectivity just because it's frustrating. Like the concept of space. I keep talking about space because I very much would like to see a resurgence and a renaissance of skepticism when it comes to many of these things, because that's one of the biggest money laundering operations that I've seen that's successful, is the concept of space and space travel and space exploration and space experimentation. Like all of that shit is tax dollars and donations and entertainment based fiat generating content, and it's almost like a pyramid of of being able to make money off of these things. There are channels on YouTube even where if you pay attention to the way that they say what they're saying, they'll say that they're processing images. So like their telescope is they're using telescopes to gather information and then process that into images rather than just saying I look through the telescope and I can see this. I don't know, just even without so there's space, there's the ocean, like there's all these things that are not at all explained, but we collectively are giving a lot of energy to it, many different types of energy, and some of that energy is just believing it without actually knowing any of it to be true. At least with the ocean, though, we're not pretending that we know a bunch of shit about the ocean. We actually, everyone I think that pays any attention to it knows we know maybe like 8% of the ocean, and the rest of it we're just like, I don't know. You know? But space, just a whole bunch of fabrication and assertions that people will debate and argue and defend to the death that they don't actually know. You know? I kind of want to like debate someone about space because it's almost like a built-in defense where I can just keep saying, but how do you know that? And then they'll without a doubt say because it's in this book, or because so and so pictures, or because of this satellite. And those are not first person or like visible. We can't see that. That's you trusting someone else's assertions. And those someones generally have been caught in many, many, many lies. So like in regular life, if someone lies to you a whole bunch, do you continue to give them that much leeway and trust? Because I don't. If you lied to me, I may give you a chance or two, depending on how much, it depends on the situation. I think we all have people that we may give a whole bunch of chances or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like if someone lies to you repeatedly, do you continue to give them the same level of trust as we all do with these space programs and space agencies? You know? Same thing with archaeology. There's a reason that some of my videos are talking about simulation theory, because I'm talking about a lot of the time. I'm talking about like a physical simulation, not metaphysical. Like most of the things that we think we know are fabricated or not proven, or you're just like bullied into agreeing with, like pussies, you know. I don't like using that word because pussies are powerful. Pusillanimous beings. You're just being like kind of bullied into, yeah, space is real, but you don't actually know that at all. Dinosaurs are real. You don't fucking know that at all. And it's just strange to me the things that people will argue with you about, and not only not make sure that you don't know more about that thing than they do, but they don't actually know the thing. They're arguing because it's been insisted to them repeatedly, and so they now are like, well, that's definitely true, right? And more times than not, it's not actually proven to be true, and can very quickly and easily be like, at the very least, shown to be theory. We don't actually know much at all. I'm starting to hear physicists say that publicly a lot more, which is cool. But not many others past that will defend that notion that we don't really know shit, and there is a lot of like weird empty space that's being purported to not be empty space. But I don't know. I'm gonna keep studying. I'm gonna keep experimenting. I'm gonna keep documenting things to try to like kind of drive home that healthy skepticism, and also being open-minded to physical, material, and metaphysical things, because I do very much believe that there's a lot of metaphysical, aspect to this. It's obvious. It's very obvious. I think that a lot of people hear me talk like this and think that I'm like a super materialist, or I don't believe in any metaphysical shit, when it's actually the opposite. The more that I realize these things, the more that it points to a lack of knowing, which is metaphysical. The fact that I know that I don't know what is above me, past blue. I don't know what any of that shit is above me. Objectively speaking, that's metaphysical. The fact that, I don't know what is below my feet past a certain level of like, I've dug some holes that were kind of deep, and I know that there are tunnels in some ways, and there's the story of Darren Kuyu and other connected underground civilizations, and, the stories, of other underground civilizations, the Anuna, and stuff Charles Fort talked about. Like, I don't know what's below my feet either. That is also metaphysical. History is largely fabricated. That's metaphysical. Like, there's many metaphysical aspects to this. I just don't like how many people pretend or purport to know the truth, because we don't know that, and there's not very much that we do know. When you go past a certain level, whether it be, time or space-time, we can't prove anything. When you go back past a certain year, when you go up past a certain, measurement, when you go down past a certain measurement, like, we're very, very confined, and we're all just kind of pretending that we know what are past those barriers, those confines. It's strange. All right, I'm gonna get up out of here. I just wanted to say some shit about metaphysical stuff to kind of balance out the last 2 or 3 or 4 very like skeptical of, I wouldn't say skeptical of metaphysics, but just like more based in physical material issues that I see going on. If you'd like to donate to the channel, the PayPal's in the description. If you'd like to reach out, you want to do a study interview, whether it's anonymous or anonymous, I think I just said anonymous twice. Whether it's anonymous or not anonymous, if you want to do a video about something that you've seen me talk about, or you want to debate, whatever, the email is gammaauobsidian, gammaauobsidian at gmail.com. And if you agree with anything that I talk about, please share the video. I'm going to start saying that now, I guess, because I did this video because of that Reddit thing. There are people literally trying to keep things that we're talking about from being seen and put out there. So I don't know, it's definitely frustrating, but we'll keep it on, we'll keep it pushing. All right, bro, later, bye.